I'm Tiffany Watson, Director of the Edward J. Lewis II Lawyers in the Classroom program. Thank you for joining us for the Lawyers in the Classroom program series. Today, we'll hear from Mr. Cameron Woods, attorney volunteer, about his volunteer experience and why he joined the Lawyers in the Classroom program. Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you so much for having me, Tiffany. Yeah, I think it just kind of happened by circumstance or happenstance. Had talked to another young attorney. I think we were all in our first year, and she was talking about a program that she wanted to get involved with that had lawyers come into the classroom throughout the Chicagoland area, and having experience doing some volunteer work with youth organizations, especially back home, but also having a full master's degree in education. Just thought it would be a great opportunity to utilize both of those skill sets. So just kind of got involved, went to a training, met you, of course, and really sat through and saw the impact that this type of exposure could have to children in our schools. So just kind of got started that way, and it's really you going to the classroom once and have an engaging experience, and you just want to keep going back. So I'm had to be a part of it for almost 5 years. Yes. So the one most recently I did was the No Weapons Allowed, which was, always in a very engaging conversation. I think that might be my second one doing it. And I chose that one for my second visit just because it really, I knew it was a social studies class. So I know there were certain things that they were likely going over. But I think I knew students would really understand the concept of rules. And I used to always tie it together. Of course, we're talking about laws and broadly, but they have school rules that they know that are allowed or where things are allowed. And they have school rules that they understand what it says, but may not understand the intent. So starting a class, understanding what is the letter of the law, the intent of the law, and then going into what are some reasons why these rules exist within your school and hearing from them. And really, I don't want to say for the first time, but not oftentimes they're able to voice why they feel the way or how things should exist. But so creating in that hour, 45-minute time period, however it is, I'm giving them that space to just, no, let's talk about this. You're going to learn something, but let's talk about how you feel about this. And has always gone over well. Yeah, with that, of course, if you look at the reflection papers, they're like, oh, I know that anything can be a weapon. It's like, yeah, that is true when you think in the context of everything. But it really is that aha moment of like, oh, okay, I know you started out saying letter of the law and intent of the law, and we have no idea what you're talking about. But I can understand that you have to be very clear in language in what you're saying, especially if it's going to apply to multiple people. And it's always great to have the teacher there who can bring in previous lessons that they have gone over to say, you remember when we discussed this, or remember, when this incident happened at school, this all ties together. So I think what I hope they got out of it and what I've seen again in the reflections that they kind of take a step back and how they analyze certain rules, laws, the ways of the world, and just ask, what is this saying? What's the plain meaning of this? But also why? And do they match up? And what happens when the intent in the letter is not clear? And you get this ambiguous application. What does that mean for our life, and what does that mean for our society? So it's more philosophical, and I hope eventually they get to that. But hopefully it's just, it started planting those seeds. Yeah, I think, we can, as attorneys, we're just so caught up in the here and the now, and kind of our own bubble of the world and how we speak different, legalese to each other, or even being in-house versus law firms, how we explain things to business people in a way that may make sense in their language. But I think there's a lot of benefit of just reducing that back to a very elementary, middle school level, and being able to understand how the law intersects in everyday life, or being able to show people that the law is literally within everything that you do, whether are you allowed to take an article into a school, or, if you had to give up certain rights, what at the core, what would you do? So I think I benefit a lot just hearing from younger people. And it puts me in perspective, can I be better in my language? Can I be clearer in my language? Can I be more intentional about rules and policies that I review? on a day-to-day for my job are just how can I be intentional on how I'm um, does the intent and the application of my life match up? So it's just really just going back to its core and just having being able to reset a lot. So that's what I get out of it. I think the highlight is once you build a rapport with a class or with students. So, I've had the opportunity in the past where I was going to a consistent school and a consistent class and working with a certain teacher, and the anticipation of them having you back and wanting to ask you additional questions and wanting to be more engaged. I love each time you're asking for a volunteer, hand goes up. They want to be a part of the human graph and move around. They want to be able to voice their opinions. So all of that just always make for a wonderful experience. But I think I spoke to this earlier, is really when the students and the teacher come together and pull those lessons together. And it kind of just wraps it up. Like it's not just a one-off lesson. It really is combining everything that they're learning. So I really look forward to that. I love when I come in as well, and I'm in one classroom and a teacher next door. I'm like, "What's your name? When do you come into my class?" And I'm just like, "Let me know when I can do it." So I just love the engagement of the students, especially little Black and brown students who are just really looking up to seeing another Black attorney and wanting to know, how can I do what you're doing?
Excellent. Yes, that is great. And we're just so happy to have you. Thank you so much, Cameron, for sharing your thoughts, your experiences. And we're just so happy again that you continue to be a part of the Lawyers in the Classroom program. So to learn more about Lawyers in the Classroom program, please go to www.chicagobar.org/chicagobar/LIC. Thanks again.